All right, guys, this is on our brand new chapter, Systems of Equations and Inequalities. So in our table of contents here, the first thing that we're going to talk about is graphing systems of inequalities. We're going to do that on page 68. Okay. Or if you're looking at your packet, this is the very last page in the packet. I'm pretty sure. Let me just double check. Yes, very last page. Okay, so we're looking right here. And the reason I actually wanted to start with this one is because it's very similar to something we were just doing. So we're going to talk more in the next video about what it means to be a system, but basically it just means I'm going to graph more than one line and I'm going to look for where they cross each other. Now, the even crazier thing about inequalities is when I'm graphing like an inequality, they cross each other and there's like shaded stuff that I got to worry about. So let me get some colors going here. I'll do those two. Okay, so if I'm looking at this first line, I'm going to graph this one in pink. And we are graphing the last chapter. This is just y equals mx plus b, where b is my y-intercept at 2, and then my slope is -1, so down 1 over 1. Now, when we talked about these inequalities, though, sometimes we had a solid line and sometimes we had a dashed one. And this one will be solid because there's the line under. And then we also shaded. So because this is greater, we would shade in all this stuff above, because greater is above. Now the other line that I have, I would graph this one. I'm going to do that one in blue. So this one starts at -2 on the y-axis, and it has a slope of up 2 over 1. And so we get this line here, or we can do down 2, back 1. And it'll be a dashed line because it's not equal to. The line is not under. And then I would shade below because it's less. So like all this stuff below. However, truly the only part that I should really shade, the only part that's really a solution is where the colors overlapped. So all this stuff right here in that corner. So one possible solution would be any of the points in here. So like +3, comma 1 would be a possible solution. Or, if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, comma 2, but basically anything in here, that's a solution. Okay, so if we try this one below, this first line I'll do in pink. That'll be a solid line starting at -1 with a slope of -1, so down 1 over 1. And again, solid filled in line because the line is under. And then I'm going to shade below because it's less. So that's all this stuff down here. The other line will also be a solid filled in line because it's equal to starting at 3 on the y-axis with a slope of -1. Now that one is greater, so we're going to shade above. Now again, like I just said in the last one, we're looking, the real solution here is where the two shaded regions overlap each other. And these ones never ever will. And that's because like they're parallel lines and their shaded regions are going opposite of each other. So there is no possible solution for this one, because they do not overlap anywhere and they never will. Okay, moving to this side right here, and there's a reason I skipped that first one. We'll go back to it, don't worry. Okay, again, I'll do this top one in pink. Oop, that's going to be a dashed because there's no line under. starting at -3 with a slope of half. So up 1 over 2, down 1, back 2. Again, dashed line because there's no line under. And because it's greater, we'll shade above. So all this stuff up here. And then this line is going to be a solid line because there is a line under, starting at 1, also with a slope of up 1 over 2. So again, these lines are parallel, which might make you think that they're not going to have a solution again. However, that's a solid line. Okay, so with this one, it's greater, so we're going to shade above. They do overlap this time. So it's almost like I didn't really even need that pink line because all of your solution is just the stuff that's above the blue line up here. So some possible solutions could be something like 0, 2, because that's in there, or like 2, 1, 2, 3, or really even 2, 2, because you can be on the line. Or I could even go negative, like -4, 1. That's in there. Okay, so lots of possible solutions. All this stuff up here where I double shaded. And so then last but not least, guys, the reason I wanted to save this one for last is because they're not really in y equal mx plus b's. This first one here, because there's only an x line will be a vertical one, and it'll be dashed through -1. And when we're saying that x needs to be greater, well, x being greater than -1 happens over here because this is like 0, +1, +2. All those numbers over there are greater. So really we're shading this way. And then when I have just a y equation with no x, then that's a horizontal line. And this one will be a solid one because it's equal to through -3. And then y is less, and less is under or below. So all this stuff down here. And so I do have overlapping in just this little bottom quadrant right down here. So some possible solutions that we have are like 1, -1, 2, 3, 4. Or like 0, -1, 2, 3, because you can be on the line. And you could come up with lots of them. Any of the points down there, even like halfway points would be fine. All right, so that's helpful because then if we have some story problem types. So Autumn sells a box of pasta for $2 each and jars of sauce for $3 each. I have 2 over and over and over again numbers. Autumn needs to make at least $12, but has no more than 8 boxes and cans combined. As I'm reading this, I'm going to save the story problems for later. So don't stress about the story problems yet, guys. Let's just make sure we take a look at these ones here, and I will make sure that your homework has no story problems. We will do all the story problems later.